Welcome one and all to the PooderooPlays Kingdom Hearts series. Here we're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the franchise in a multi-part collection spanning every installment. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the truly fascinating universe of Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, so obviously I didn't explain ReCoded very well. As much as I love the KH franchise, ReCoded is the weakest title, I would say. But I never really explained it, so I'll go into the lore now. It was originally an episodic app, downloadable on mobile, and playable on the now-defunct website. This game takes place before Sora and Riku return from the Realm of Darkness at the end of KH 2.5. So, before Sora reads the letter, this is set just before the end of KH 2.5, because time moves differently in the Realm of Darkness. So for Sora and Riku, they were there for like a couple hours. In the real world, they were gone for like a week. And in that time, ReCoded happens. While sifting through his journals, Jiminy Cricket discovers the hidden message that he didn't write after the Thank Nominee in the journal that reads, "We must return to free them from their torment." And he's like, WTF, so he brings it to King Mickey, who gets Chip and Dale to encode it with this massive encoding machine. And then he ventures inside, King Mickey goes inside, and he awakens Digital Sora inside Digital Destiny Islands. And then he guides Data Sora fighting Data Heartless in order to rid the world of bugs, those little cubes things, and follow this black cloak figure around. And immediately the black cloak were like, organization? Who could it be? Succeeding, Sora must also do this to the other worlds in the digital journal, the worlds from the first game. After the Heartless start appearing in the real Disney castle outside of this digital thing, Data Sora helps save his real-world friends, and the group discover that the identity of the black-cloaked figure in the journal is the journal itself, presenting itself as Data Riku. So, it's the journal, made of data, cloaked itself as Riku. Doesn't explain how it wrote the message in the first place that started all of this, but there we go. Maybe the journal just really had something it wanted to say. I don't know. Data Riku tells everybody that they are now in the Digiscape, and that Sora has to continue his journey to discover his true identity. He is encountered by the real-world Pete and Maleficent, who find their way into the Digiscape. They're trying to use this as a gateway to get into the real Disney castle. While trying to find his true identity, Data Sora meets the real-world Maleficent and Pete, and has his Keyblade broken. But King Mickey saves him. Because, you know, Sora's Keyblade's just broken and King Mickey isn't around. They kidnap Digital Riku, and they infect him with bugs. Data Sora has to face Data Riku. Again! Just like in Chain of Memories, they found a bullshit reason for Sora to have to fight Riku again. In this one, they find a bullshit reason for him to have to fight Riku again, because they're trying to recapture the first game's magic. He defeats the Journal Riku at Hollow Bastion, where else would it be? And he knocks it unconscious. He doesn't kill Data Riku, he just knocks the journal unconscious. Mickey informs Sora that the journal will never awaken, because he clocked it so hard. He baffed it so hard he put it in a medically induced coma, the medicine being a 5-finger sandwich. He won't wake up unless the bugs are destroyed. So Data Sora, inside the Datascape, goes inside Data Riku, loses his powers again, and then helps Data Riku fight through several worlds back to Hollow Bastion to defeat Maleficent once more and rid himself of the bugs. Mickey discovers if he was to go back to the real world, it would wipe the journal and Data Sora's memories. When the time comes to erase him, Sora asks for more time to go and save the real world Maleficent and Pete, who are still trapped in there. He wants to go and save the bad guys, which is kind of sweet. And they're found fighting Sora's Heartless. He defeats his own Heartless just to discover the journal had saved Pete and Maleficent through some kind of magical portal. So he didn't even need to be there. But then Mickey returns to the real world to find a new message in the freshly wiped journal. Data Sora's just lost all his memories. There's a new world added to the Datascape, says the journal. And Mickey, thinking it would be too dangerous for Sora, goes back in. Because Data Sora's just lost all his powers, so he's not powerful enough anymore. So he goes and he finds Data Sora in Data Traverse Town and takes him to Data Castle Oblivion, where a robed figure tells him he must go through the worlds he's already visited yet again. Sora ends up fighting the robed figure, who is revealed to be Data Roxas, who gives him a card when he goes down, and that card leads him to Nominee, who reveals that the bugs were an accident caused by her memory manipulation, fudging with the journal, And she explains to him that he, Roxas, and Shion are all connected, as well as Aqua, Terra, and Ventus. So Sora has like 6 people living inside him. And that Sora needs to find a way to save all 6 of them and end their suffering. Mickey promises Data Namine that he will pass the message on to Data Sora. Then he returns to the real world, writes the letter to the real Sora, Riku, and Kairi that they read at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2.5. Which is my mistake. I thought Yensid wrote that letter. It's not. It's Mickey. That's why they end up going to Yensid's tower in 2.5. That's recoded for you. Okay, so I did go into Dream Drop Distance pretty okay, but I feel like there was a lot I left out. This is the game where you actually see Xehanort do what he did inside the organization before it became Organization 13. So, the reason why it's called 3D Dream Drop Distance is because it's 3Ds.
These nuts!
This game was originally made for the 3DS. That's why. It is the direct sequel to Coded. The game begins with a cutscene into the past that shows Braig, Xigbar, walking into the computer room at Radiant Gardens to find his colleagues unconscious and covered in darkness. Just smothered in it, you know, drenched in darkness. And he confronts Xehanort standing there, who then summons his Keyblade and stabs Braig and tells him to call him Ansem. So this is obviously the part where Xehanort has snapped and was like... And that's when he does the whole, I'm gonna turn you all into bad guys thing. But 11 years later in the present, the letter that King Mickey wrote at the end of Coded, that was opened at the end of 2.5, tells the gang there to meet him and Master Yensid at the Mysterious Tower. This is where Yensid tells the group that they need to find more Keyblade Masters, because Xehanort is going to return. So he already knows that. I don't know how Master Yensid knows that, but he does.
Given that this is Google's AI overview, take this with a pinch of salt, but apparently he knew because of the reasons listed here.
He puts Riku and Sora to the test with their Mark of Mastery exam. In this exam, the two must travel to the worlds that have been saved from the Heartless Ansem from KH 1.5, but are still sleeping. The two must find the 7 sleeping keyholes and awaken these worlds and acquire the power of waking. The sleeping worlds are being beset by dream eaters called nightmares that are haunting the worlds, and the two travel independently as they are separated at the start by a vision of robed Ansem from the first game.
Who summons a memory of Ursula to destroy the raft that Riku and Sora set out from Destiny Island on.
And they recruit good Dream Eaters called Spirits in order to help them fight the nightmares and awaken the sleeping keyholes. That's why I said it's like Kingdom Hearts Pokemon, because you can collect them and feed them and play with them. It was designed for the 3DS so that you could poke them with the stylus and rub their tummies and stuff, but you can go into like a play mode on consoles and do it with the analog sticks. So cute. Meanwhile, in present-day Radiant Garden, Leah's family has once again become human, along with his colleagues Dylan, who was Zoldin, Evan, who was Vexen, Alias, who was Lexius, and Ienzo, who was Zexion. It's weird. They wake up in exactly the same positions to find out that they're human again. But the missing members, Isa and Braig, is concerning to Axel. So Saix, who was his best childhood friend, and Braig, who is Xigbar. So Axel's concerned. He thought everybody else would just pop up in the room where they fell. He thinks they may have chosen to return to darkness. This is present day, by the way. Ienzo explains that when the Heartless and Nobody of a particular person are destroyed, the human reforms in the world where they lost their heart. And if that world is destroyed, they end up in Travis Town. Which makes sense, because Travis Town's a bastion for people who have lost their worlds. Knowing that Isa and Braig lost their hearts in the same place he and his colleagues did, and should thus be there, Lee sets off to find them. Meanwhile, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are called away by Maleficent's Raven to Disney Castle, where Maleficent and Pete are trying to kidnap Queen Minnie, because, you know, you have to include them somehow, and they're holding her hostage for access to the datascape from Coded for some reason. Before they can fight, Lee appears through a portal and he rescues Minnie. Pete and Maleficent flee, and Lee returns the boys to Master Yensid, where he asks to be trained as a Keyblade Master. During the Mark of Mastery exam in the Sleeping Worlds, Sora and Riku are being hounded by a man in black connected to Xehanort. Sora is also encountering Xemnas as he crosses each world off his list, and Riku encounters Ansem as he does as well. The two boys complete their task, but instead of returning home, Sora finds himself in the world that never was. the HQ of the organization. Braig, still choosing the persona of Xigbar, reveals to him the identity of the man in the coat. It is none other than the young form of Xehanort, before he ever grew up to be the man that possessed Terra. So this is not Xehanort who takes over Terra, young Xehanort. This is the youngest Xehanort. This is the Xehanort who grew up with Ericus. Then he must have time-travelled to where he is now. And the reason why he time-travelled is because he'd been visited by Ansem's robed form via time travel, and had told him he'd gained the ability to time-travel, and then told him how to do it, thus making sure he always knew how to time-travel. Kind of bullshit, I will be honest, but
Anyway,
it is revealed later that time travel is only possible for someone if they give up their body and have a version of themselves somewhere in that timeline. It works that if a part of your body, if your body exists anywhere in the timeline, you can travel to anywhere your body has already existed. As long as there is a version of you there, you can travel there. Kind of makes sense. Ansem's robed form then spends 75 years on Destiny Islands waiting for himself to come to Destiny Islands and Sora to discover the door. With this in mind, Lil Xehanort, as I have put, has been flitting about, gathering incarnations of himself and the people Xehanort had been strongly connected to, so Braig, so that they would be present during the one moment in time to complete their plan right at the end of Dream Drop Distance. The plan was to create an Organization 13 of 13 vessels for Xehanort to possess, which had been the real intention of the organization, hidden from the other original members after they'd been turned to nobodies by Xehanort as Ansem's apprentice. So when he stabbed Braig right at the start of Dream Drop Distance, his true intentions for Organization 13 he kept secret from everyone but Xemnas. Obviously, Xemnas would have known. They reveal that, now lacking Roxas, Xion, or Riku, Sora must become their new 13th. He refuses, and does battle with Xemnas, and succeeds, but he is weakened and falls unconscious. Slipping into the realm of darkness, he fights Ventus's armor, wins, and sets Ventus's heart free from the darkness. So Ventus is the guy that Braig had seen in his past, when Xion's robe fell down. Ventus has been living in Sora this whole time. He's the reason why Roxas looks the way he does. His armor was in the realm of darkness waiting for Sora in the sleeping worlds as a Dream Eater. It's weird. But that doesn't wake up real Ventus. He is still asleep. Meanwhile, Riku battles a nightmare that resembles Roxas at the castle in the world that never was. It was born from Sora's coma dream. So when he was fighting Ventus, it was born from that. Riku is weakened and then dragged into darkness by Ansem. Here, he learns he had been a Dream Eater for Sora the whole time, destroying Sora's inner nightmares, and Ansem then notices Riku has accepted his darkness and tries to join forces with him once more, as a last-ditch effort to acquire Riku as the 13th. Riku, coming to terms with the fact he'll always have darkness, but is still a worthy Keyblade Master, battles various versions of Ansem once more until he is returned to the Sleeping Worlds and able to rescue Sora. As Riku reaches the Chamber of Repose to see the true eldest Master Xehanort being formed, and to save Sora, Mickey arrives and tries to stop the resurrection of Xehanort. True Xehanort possesses his youngest self, so basically Mickey arrives and casts Stopser, which he's powerful enough for it to stop any mother. But in order to circumvent that, old Xehanort possesses his younger self. Everybody else in the room is frozen, apart from younger Xehanort, who then battles Riku in a pocket dimension he creates to buy time to allow his true self to resurrect, even though Stopser has been cast. Here he reveals his true plan that formed after his failed attempt to create the Keyblade 11 years ago. This plan was to have 7 lights battle 13 darknesses, as that was what the original Keyblade shattered into. He relied on the 7 lights to find one another, while he gathered the 13 darknesses to possess and to make a new Keyblade to start a new Keyblade war, and once again gain access to the real Kingdom Hearts. As Riku and Mickey are restrained by Ansem and Xemnas respectively, Xehanort plans to place a fragment of his heart inside the still sleeping Sora. Lee arrives as the heart is travelling across the room, saving Sora, pissing off everybody else who was present, and that's when he learns where Isa is. In one of the seats. Isa had chosen to go back to being a bad guy. So Xehanort sends him to go and attack Lee, but Donald and Goofy also arrive, and then they battle Ansem's Guardian, the big thing with the across its mouth, and Xehanort leaves with a foreboding of the battle to come. The party of good guys return to the mysterious tower, where Riku enters Sora's dreams to wake him up with the power of waking, so he has learnt the power of waking. He defeats Sora inside Ventus's Keyblade armor, despite the fact Sora beat the Keyblade armor nightmare. Sora is inside Ventus's Keyblade armor and somehow ends up in the Data version of Destiny Islands. This is where it gets even worse of like, you guys made no connection to this, you just had to put it in, I don't know why. And I've even put it here, where he has a totally unnecessary talk with ghosts of Roxas, Ventus, and Xion, and then finally Ansem the Wise, who tells him he's found research data that he'd hidden in Sora as he slept a year ago. Wow, we really needed to see this. Riku returns to the land of the living and is named a master by Yen Sid. However, Sora is not, as he almost got possessed and has also lost most of his abilities. Sora embarks on a new journey to gain his strength back and gain the power of waking, and Lee reveals he can now summon a Keyblade. Soon after, Yen Sid has Riku summon Kairi to him, so she can be trained alongside Lee as a Keyblade wielder under Merlin's guidance, as they need to have their 7 lights ready to do battle with Xehanort. With the original wielders found and awoken one day, those 7 would be Sora, Riku, Kairi, Lee, Aqua, Terra, and Ventus. Apparently Mickey does not count, and I've even put that here. Mickey doesn't count. Who knew? Maybe they'll finally kill him off. Oh, or they're going to kill off, or they're going to kill off one of the others. I mean, they tried killing off... Edit that bit out. Edit that whole segment about people dying out.
No, I don't think I will.
So yeah, that's Kingdom Hearts Stream Drop Distance.
Thank you everybody so much for joining me as we explore the intriguing stories of the Kingdom Hearts franchise together. I have been your friendly neighborhood Pooderoo, and I hope you've had as much of a blast with this series as I did with making it. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye bye.